Behind the greatest goals is a great assist. As the official banking partner of the Premier League, ABSA is giving you the ultimate assist so you can achieve your goals this season.
That is a cracking assist!
You're getting all the games, goals, and glory. Exclusive access to legends and players, plus game-changing banking solutions. Follow your local ABSA Facebook page for more. Get the assist from ABSA and get things done. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Well, Kenya is Vippy. Well, we all love goals, but scoring goals is not possible without a great assist. ABSA Bank Kenya is giving you the ultimate assist when it comes to your goals. So follow us on social media at ABSA Kenya for more details on how we are assisting you this season. Cheza Kama Wewe.
Hello and welcome. This is Radull Live, a special edition of Radull Live. I know you guys are used to me on Saturday afternoon. Today it's Monday, beginning of the week, Christmas week. Now I need to give a shout out to my partners ABSA. Of course, guys, every weekend you know that there's so many great goals that are scored in the English Premier League, and no goal is possible, or few goals are possible, without great assists. Now, ABSA, as the financial partners of the English Premier League, are telling the fans we can assist you to achieve your life's goals. Now, all you need to do, guys, if you are an ABSA customer, simply make a deposit into your ABSA account, and there's only 1 week to go to do that. In a week, 10 lucky customers will have their deposits doubled, and we will have our 3rd million shilling winner. So with ABSA, you can get the assist you need to achieve your goals. That's Africanacity. That is ABSA. Now, the reason we're having a special edition of Radull Live is because after kicking and screaming and begging and crawling and calling and texting,
that's not true.
President
That's
Nick Mwendwa
not
is
true.
here.
Don't listen to her. That's not true.
Nick, that's not true.
No, I promised I'll do it. And I have done it. I made a promise, and I fulfilled it.
You did. You
Yes.
made a promise
And
a
I
couple of
fulfilled it.
months ago,
Yes.
and I kept begging, and finally you're here.
Yes.
Let me send a few shout-outs. My phone is going crazy. Let me send a few shout-outs before we start.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of Facebook Live.
Yeah.
James Karongo says, okay, he's tuned in. Wawire Amnes. Guys, I'll get to your questions much later in the show. First, we allow Nick to have his say before we get to your questions. Xavier Gitao Masharia has checked in. Abdul Amin Kaka, Jonte Boy, Nur Abdi, Raima Jaka, Stephen Mwendwa. These are all the people who have already tuned in. I can see, hey, there are many. Wow, Nick.
By the time we're halfway, you might have to shut it down.
Munene Nesh, Ken Mutugi. I'm going to break the internet today.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, first of all, good to see you.
Thank you.
There's a lot to talk about, and we only have 1 hour. And we'll get to some of the... I believe in progressive discussions, but I also don't believe in ignoring things that are disturbing people's minds. So there's a lot I know you
Let's go with those disturbing people's minds first.
You want to disturb people's minds first?
Yes, those are the ones I want first.
Okay, let's get right into it.
Yes.
KPL, broadcasting
Yes, I knew you were
contract.
going to go there. I knew you were going to get
No,
there.
but the reason I don't want to go there yet, I want more people to join. Because what
So
happens
they
is
can
people
find
are sharing the link,
Okay,
sharing
fine,
the link,
fine.
sharing the link.
Fine.
I want people to actually hear that conversation, most people.
Yeah.
So I want to start with you grading your own first term performance.
Yeah.
You grade your own, how do you see that you performed in your first term?
I'd say...
What percentage
Sometimes
would you give yourself?
A B plus.
A B plus?
Yeah.
Based on?
Based on this, when I came to office, I came to your show sometime, and I remember how the situation was.
You had been president for, I think, 1 week or something. Yes.
And I came to your show. And so when I look at where we were and where we are or where we were, that makes me give myself a B plus. I found football that was almost going to die. I found a situation that was very bad. And I don't need to explain to you because you know how it was. I'd say that we made solid progress in main areas, big areas. I'd say that they're obviously in leadership. When you look back, you'll be looking at areas where you're saying, okay, we could have done better here. We could have done better here. And we are going to do better in the coming days. When I look at it, a B+ would do for me in the period I've been there.
Are you basing this on, just to get into some nitty-gritty, are you basing this probably on what? Harambee Stars getting to AFCON?
Overall. So if we go to competition, I'd give you Women Cup of Nations for the first time in 2016. Huge milestone. I'd give you Harambee Stars Cup of Nations for the first time in 15 years. If you now look at competition, which is one of the jobs we have to do, but when you look at organization, I'd give ourselves maybe 8.5 out of 10 in terms of organizing the way a federation should work, in terms of getting the grassroots, in terms of organizing events, in terms of refereeing, in terms of coaching, in terms of those things that don't get shouted so much about, but those that are the bread and butter of a federation. I think we've done so well.
I remember when you came in, the first thing you said, you were a week old, and you said that you had been left a debt, I think, of 160 million shillings by the previous president.
Yes.
What is the debt at
Only
now?
to find out that it was actually 350.
350 million?
Yes.
What is it now?
I'd say that when we finish with Adele has been the main burden. When we finish with Adele, you're talking about 150, maybe thereabouts. When we finish with him. But important is that we're paying out about 120 million to Adele Amrushe. All right? So when you get that out, which in a few days that's what's going to happen, then you're remaining with debts that were accumulated in the former administration mainly. Those are the ones that are hanging out. On our side, we run on a debt of about 21 million, generally. When you see us putting players in hotels and things, sometimes we don't have the money. But that is debt that's manageable for FKF. So that's okay. Not your running debt. The debt that's a problem is the one you've been taken to court because some guy in 2009 never paid a bill and they've accrued the interest and all this kind of stuff. That's why it gets dicey. But I say we've done well there because we've never stopped to operate because of debt. We've operated all the time. We've competed. We trained our referees. We trained our coaches. We've got competitions going all the time. Got Harambee Stars and Starlets here consistently without them having to dip in their pockets and paid them what they were required to do, when they were required to do. That was not the case before. If you talk to McDonald Mariga, he'll tell you that he played so many years, since 2000 maybe, and 6 thereabouts. And he never played a single friendly because it couldn't be organized. And now we do this all the time in the way that we're supposed to do it. Normal things were not normal when I got here. So we got that normal. So now we have many more things to go. But we've also competed at a high level that wasn't there. I would say maybe we would have gone to the second Cup of Nations if we beat Ghana for women. We could have gone there. When you look back, you'd say maybe we'd have done something to get there. On the side of Harambee Stars, maybe we would have done something to qualify. But you know, qualification, even Nigeria sometimes misses to qualify. So it's something we can argue. We can argue about several things, but the one thing we can't argue about is that we organized a federation that is now known, that is now has sponsors, that has the identity that needs to have with all the confusion and shouting around football, that has a direction and that you can talk to about, and that people are not afraid to engage, which was not the case when we got there.
I wasn't planning on talking about Adele Amrushe and that debt today, but for me, between you and the former administration, nobody would really take responsibility on whose fault it was. You came in, found an issue already because there were 2 national team coaches, I think, when you came in. I think it could have been handled better because I don't think Amrushe was looking for 110 million or however much it is you have to pay him. I think he was looking for a different kind of negotiation.
You are wrong.
But where we find ourselves now, Nick, is we still have this issue of high rotation of national team coaches, even the ones you hire. And a recent case in point is Francis Kimanzi. Why did we get...
So let me first answer your question. You're wrong, Radull, when you say that the issue of Adele you don't think he was looking for money. I want to tell you here today, categorically, that he was looking for money. And I will tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because we offered him the job of Harambee Stars 3 times.
But that's where the issue came.
Let me finish.
Because you got rid of him.
Let me finish. When we hired Stanley Okumbi, which you didn't know, we didn't call him the head coach of the team. Why? Because we were hoping that he will be reasonable and take the job. He rejected it 3 times. That you didn't know. 3 times. I am on record. I know I'm on camera. I am on record, Radull. So I'm telling you.
I wish Amrush was here because he told me something totally different.
That's okay. But I'm just I'm telling you on record. I'm not telling you hiding myself. I'm telling you on record. Something you don't talk about them so much. And I went to court. And in court with him, I still offered him the job again. And he refused. So let's move off from that. So I'm just saying that you're wrong. You might still hold the opinion, but you're wrong. So let's move up to what you've asked about rotation of coaches. When I got here, we had Stanley Okumbi for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Basically half of my term. Then we got Paul Put. And Paul Put stayed for 4 months, was offered a job for triple the pay by Guinea. He took off. We never chased him. All right. Then we got Sebastian. I don't need to say about Sebastian because you know how long and what he did and what we achieved with him. And Sebastian was working with Francis. That's what you forget.
With Kimanzi, yeah.
Yes. So Kimanzi was not just with us for months. He was with us for 1.5 years. All right. Then we agreed with both of them, we agreed they're going to leave by mutual consent. Not with the confusion we found. And then we took a decision that anyone who is going to be coach of the national team will never have what we call a closed contract again. So now they have 2 months notice. You will notice that Kimanzi will be paid until end of December, and that's it.
But why did Kimanzi have to go?
Because there are reasons. When I tell you that Sebastian left by mutual consent, part of the job I have is not to come here and narrate to you why he did. Because I have agreed with him, it's mutual, it needs to be kept that way. It's the same thing with Francis. That's what we agreed.
It was mutual consent.
It was mutual consent. It was mutual consent. Maybe you know otherwise. You can tell your viewers when I'm not there, but it was mutual consent.
I do know otherwise.
When you lead, Radull, it's never what you see on the surface. For example, you have been thinking that we'd never give Adele the job. We did. It's just that I've never been going saying that we did. But we gave him the job 3 times. You didn't know why we didn't call Stanley head coach, because we were waiting for him to take the job. You never knew that. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes when you lead, you carry those things with yourself, because leadership also comes with its own.
Ghost is my good friend.
Yes.
I got him into radio. Maybe I made him lose focus in his football career.
Yeah.
But do you think Ghost is the best man for that job?
Maybe you doubt. Maybe you doubt. That's why you're asking me the question. But let me tell you, I might not know football in the way that he does. But I have an idea, a small idea about football. And I know about many coaches. We wanted a local coach who is a winner. A local coach who is a winner. Point to me. Point to me. How many have qualified at the Cup of Nations at that very highest level? Point to me how many there are.
Ghost did it in 2004. Things have changed in coaching.
And you haven't said also that he is also our instructor and has been instructing all these coaches you're talking about. That's what you don't mention. When you are saying he went 2004, you're not also saying that he is our top most ranked instructor. And all these coaches, he's instructing them.
I thought
including
it was
other
Kimanzi
countries.
who was instructing coaches.
No, our top instructor is Jacob Gosmule. So that's what I'm saying. Again, it's viewpoint. Time will tell. We have him on the job. We have him targeted on the job. Let's see. Let me not sing that.
Before we get to the KPL issue, I can see all your questions. By the way, people just want to know about the KPL TV rights issues.
Yes.
Francis Kayamba says, Nick has many positives and he has his negatives, but B+ is an overstatement.
That's all right. That's okay.
Hey, give him your rate. Give
That's
Nick
all
your
right.
rate. Yeah?
That's all
Give
right.
Nick your rate.
That's all right.
On Kenya, I'll give him, but both KPL men and women, I would give him a C-. But I must applaud you on the Women Premier League, because Women Premier League has never been organized, and it started about 10 days ago. My issue has always been with the way the new set of Harambee Starlets was handled. We had the girls who qualified us who did really well in the regional Sakafa tournament. About 2 years ago, I hosted them on my radio show. They were looking for allowances that dated back almost another 2 years or so. And they said that when they became vocal and asked for their allowances, they were just not called up to the national team.
So let me explain to you.
And we went and got new girls from...
So let me tell you, Radull. We found ladies, and I don't need to recount to you where we found our ladies. We found them in the changing rooms of Kasarani, sleeping in changing rooms with water dripping with their coaches when I took office. And I can recount so many things. It was pathetic. It was so bad. They used to wear the same kit as Victor Wanyama. We used to wash our kit for Harambee Stars and give to our girls. That's why I found our girls. We took them up and we said, we're going to treat you in the same way we treat Harambee Stars. Put you in hotels, fly you when required, pay you your allowances. But when we took office, we also said to everybody, listen guys, the level of debt here is humongous. You're going to have to bear with us to steer the ship forward, yes, but also to take care of you. But important, to go to competitions, because that's what's going to build us and you. And we agreed that from the beginning. And I said to these girls, I'm giving you my own money today, because we have no money. And you can't go home hungry. But I'm telling you that I can't give you all of it. Well, you'll be coming to competitions, we'll be paying you as we stagger, and you will get paid. And always, whenever they came, we never gave them all of it because we didn't have it at that time, but we gave them something. That's one. Two, when we went to the ministry at that time, they said, bring everything you have for the girls. And I can tell you, we are organized. We made everything, and we gave them to the ministry. And they told us, okay, don't pay. This is our debt. We're going to pay this debt. I went live on radio with this, and I said to guys, we have not refused to pay these girls. We'll pay them. But the ministry took responsibility. We don't have the money to pay the boys, to pay the... For example, even at that time, Radull, referees were not fully paid. And how we agreed is that as we get out of debt, we'll be paying you, but also maintaining your competition. You won't be getting all your money all the time. And everybody understood that. Our problem was not that. Our problem was when they didn't get their money, instead of coming to us as we always do, because whenever they come, we say, okay, guys, sit down. We don't have 1 million today, but we have 250,000. Here it is. We've always been doing that. So why don't come to us first, and then when we refuse, then you can shout. That was the issue, Radull, at that time. And what did we do? We said, okay, fine, the guys have said this. We went back to the ministry and said, guys, are you going to pay? And until today, Radull, they refused to pay. So what did we do? We said, this girl, because now they created that acrimonious situation. They were playing, never had all their money, used to get some good money, and incrementally were doing it. We said, because some of them cannot be in the team anymore, we created a new team. And you know what? The team that came on board won Sekafa. The team that came on board was paid all its money over time, not at once, because at once was not possible.
I acknowledge you looked after the girls who came in.
Yes.
But the girls who were left out have completely been abandoned.
Not completely.
I know for a fact, I acknowledge that the ministry did say, the former PS,
yes.
Professor Kaberia,
yes.
did come on national radio and promise to pay the girls, yes. And he kept saying next week for about 2 years.
Yeah.
But what these girls keep telling me is that we can't go to the ministry as ourselves, and when we go to FKF says we have no money, but nobody's following up this issue, because it's now 4 years that, in fact, a year ago they said, you know what, Radull, stop following our money, we'll just let it go. And it's like 120,000 shillings for like 10 girls. So 1.4 million can actually resolve that problem. And I thought, at a time like when you got that, I think it was 240 million for Harambee Stars before they went to AFCON, I'm sure just 1 million could have been removed, settle that debt.
So let me explain to you. First of all, these girls, from time to time, they have come to FKF as I speak to you, and they have been paid their money. You need to go back and check how many have been paid. All right. Personally, when you follow the issue, I picked up and paid several of them. That's one. Two, and this is where I told you, sometimes you need to find out something before you can touch it. When you get government money for Harambee Stars to Comoros, you cannot take 50,000 and deviate it. You will find me in DCI very quickly. Why did I go to DCI? Because people said I took the money for AFCON and put it in something else, only for them to investigate for 1 year plus and not find anything. So when you say that you can take this money and give the girls, it's actually very hard to do that, all right? But I take responsibility and say this. These guys have come to you, and I've said to them, some of them personally said, you don't need to go to radio. Come to us. What is the problem? Here is your money. Come at this time, you're going to get. Some of them never came until today. And we're still willing and saying,
they've been tired of knocking on your door. Nick, I don't chase death for 2 years. By the way, I don't chase death for 2 years.
No. What they also didn't tell you is what they got from the national team. They told you what they didn't get. But they didn't ever tell you also what they got.
They earned what they got.
Yes, I'm not refusing, but they didn't tell you that the explanation was clear with them, that we're going to pay you. We're paying you in a step-by-step manner. And that we did. And I know it's passionate with you because obviously it's a gender issue.
It's a ladies.
It's a ladies
issue.
issue.
We have to look after our ladies.
No.
And talking about that 240 million, why was it necessary for us to spend twice as much money going to camp in Paris when we could have camped in any other Arab country?
Your show might not accommodate us today fully. You might have to need 2 hours.
Okay, you can just summarize that.
But let me tell you.
I have 2 hours.
When you hire a coach, the coach tells you what they want, and you do what they want. The coach said what he wanted to qualify. We gave him what he wanted, he qualified. Once he qualifies, he says, I want to go to France. You're going to take him to France, Radull. That's how it's done, and that's what we did. We had a recommendation from the beginning when he was joining. He said, if I qualify, I want to camp in France. And we accepted to do that. So that's one. Two is that I don't know why you have this impression that going to France was the wrong thing. Personally, for me,
not wrong, players, just twice as costly.
Not necessarily.
As other options.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And we could look at the options that were available. Some of them were even more expensive than what we got. I can tell you, Ghana spent $7 million.
They have it.
They never had it. They were fighting even in camp. Cameroon were having strikes in camp. You just assume in your head they do it, or they don't. They just have countries that are even don't invest what you're doing, but they expose their countries to that level. Cameroon was on strike. Uganda was on strike. Why? You never had any strikes with our team because we spend our money well, Radull. Because we gave the boys the money the way we agreed. Because we organized things it was never done before. What we did in Marcos. So I think sometimes it's because you're hearing the figure in your head and you haven't done your homework properly to know how much. Senegal, we were in the same hotel with them in Egypt. Do you know what they did? They said, we can't sleep with Kenya in the same hotel. CAF booked us in the same hotel with them. They found their own hotel, they paid for it and moved out. Look where they went in the final. When you talk about investing, we have not scratched the surface. We will invest $8 million in future. I am telling you today in your show, if we want to get where we want to go. So the story is not about how much we're putting in. The story is, are we going to do a good job with the investment that we put in? And that's what we want to talk about. Because our boys, when other guys are getting $50,000 when they win, we're not getting there for the whole tournament. We're going to raise the tournament.
Out of all that money, because when we came back, Harambee Stars had to chase their allowances for the win against Tanzania for several months.
One allowance.
Yeah, well, they won one game.
Each of those boys got at least $20,000 on the minimum. On the minimum for being in the Cup of Nations. Each of them never happened.
But that was the roadside promise from the DP.
No. That was a combination of many things. What they were supposed to earn when they go to camp, what they were supposed to get from the 50 million, it was a combination of things. They got just around $20,000. Each of them never been done before in Kenya. So one win, we were promised on the boat and agreed that they're going to be paid 250,000 shillings when they win. That was not an FKF promise. Now, when I present, my job was present the budget and follow up and say, guys, we need to pay them. But they said, we don't have the money to pay. So I told the boys, let's fight about it. We already got what we had promised, what I put on the foot. Let's forget about it and move forward. That's what we did. Sometimes in football, you're going to do that.
But it's not the way to motivate it. If you've been motivated with a promise, you need to execute that promise. Even if it's not your promise, it's you to follow up with the ministry, because these boys who are owed the money can't go and knock on the ministry's door.
So I want to tell you that you need to embark on an exercise to follow up, to make some follow-up, so that you can know what follow-ups mean. That's what my answer. That's what my answer to you would be on follow-up.
Hey, okay. I want us to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to address the KPL issue. We're going to address the broadcasting rights issue.
You're already taking breaks.
No, it's 30 minutes.
Yes, I told you your show is not enough for football.
If you have a pass for coffee, we can be here till midnight.
No.
Guys, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I'm going to get to some of your comments, and we're going to address the issue of KPL broadcasting rights, Zoo FC, Madari United. I want to know what's going on. That's coming after the break.
Behind the greatest goals is a great assist. As the official banking partner of the Premier League, ABSA is giving you the ultimate assist so you can achieve your goals this season.
That is a cracking assist.
You're getting all the games, goals, and glory. Exclusive access to legends and players, plus game-changing banking solutions. Follow your local ABSA Facebook page for more. Get the assist from ABSA and get things done. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Well, Kenya is Vippy. Well, we all love goals, but scoring goals is not possible without a great assist. ABSA Bank Kenya is giving you the ultimate assist when it comes to your goals. So follow us on social media at ABSA Kenya for more details on how we are assisting you this season. Cheza Kama Wewe.
Welcome back. This is Radull Live, and yes, I'm here with the FKF President, Nick Mwendwa, and we'll get back to that conversation just now after he's had his sip of water. A reminder to you all that we come to you in partnership with ABSA, and ABSA are financial partners of the English Premier League. I wish one day I can say financial partners of the Kenyan Premier League. And ABSA have this campaign called The Assist, where in order to score goals, you do need assists. And they want you to achieve your life's goals by getting an assist from ABSA. Simply make a deposit into your ABSA account, and you could be one of 10 lucky people to have their deposits doubled within the next week. The campaign ends on the 28th of December. Or you could be our third 1 million shilling winner. How's that for an assist going into 2021, guys? Just simply text the word assist to 22268 and you will get the assistance you need from ABSA. That's Africanacity. That is ABSA. Nick, before the break, we were talking about, so there's a comment here from Ian Shai Class, which is why I just want to revisit that before we talk about the KPL issue. This reliance on government needs to stop. Organize how we can get sponsors for the national team, like some countries have for different sponsors for boys and girls teams. Is that something I assume?
So let me quickly talk about sponsorships. That's why I said we came from darkness into light, because today we have sponsors for FKF, for grassroots football. You know, we're the first federation to have sponsors that go to the grassroots of football. We have given away 18,000 footballs. and pairs of uniforms in the last couple of months with Odibet. We have Betika in the Komta. They have done very well in counties in organizing and doing that. We have Safaricom Chapadimba, as you know, that is now in its 3rd edition. That's just for grassroots football alone. Then at national level, as you know, we have now for the Premier League, we have our 3 sponsors, BetKing, we have Star Times, and we have Milele FM. We are working on particular sponsorship for Harambee Stars and having a conversation about particular sponsorship for the Women Premier League and Division 1. So we are at a point where we have never had such kind of sponsorship in the history of FKF in terms of the number of sponsors and the figures we're talking about long term as well. So yes, our dream, and everybody has it, my dream is in 2 years, we should not rely on anyone from outside to get our football being played, whether at national level or at grassroots. The debt has not been helpful, but in 2 years from today, end of 2022, I should be coming to your set and saying that we are self-sufficient ourselves, we can meet our debt, we can pay, and we can do the things we need to do without asking anyone. It's a step to do, but I'm feeling that the interest that's coming through now will get us there, and I'm keen to fight through this and see what comes out.
Let's move on to the issue of the Kenyan Premier League and the broadcast sponsorship, and the fact that you have first suspended and then expelled, although I know it's back in court, and the issue that's going on with the clubs that have refused to sign on, which are Mathare United and Zoo FC. I was told Lindsay didn't sign but was somehow incorporated into the league. I cannot verify that as a fact. Maybe you can. What is going on?
So, you know, I have not spoken about this in public. So I'm bringing you news, Radull. And I want to be, because you have done this for a while yourself, so there's some history that you carry. So I want to be systematic in the way I explain this to you. So Radull, when I came to your show in 2016, the Premier League was being run by KPL Limited at that time. And as I spoke to you, I realized even you didn't know much about what goes on in the KPL. In terms of sponsors, in terms of the money, you didn't know nothing in 2016. All right? So in 2020, what happened on 24th December, on 24th September, the contract between FKF and the Kenya Premier League lapsed. All right? As you know, we had gone to court. We had been taken to court severally by the KPL for 5 times. And so anyway, we had concluded we're not going to renew the contract. So we're going to proceed on another path. And I think I said that to you a number of times. So now, when we began to prepare to take on the FKF Premier League, the first thing we did last year is to start 1.5 years before looking for sponsorship, because we knew if we take up this Premier League without money, there's going to be a problem. When we did that last year and wrote to KPL and said, bear in mind we will not renew our contract, the KPL had no sponsor, 0 sponsor. The clubs were paying for referees. Just for me to emphasize the point.
I remember.
So then we said, fine, we found sponsors, we talked to the clubs, we formed a transition committee to say we're going to have this transition committee work with us so we can chart the way forward. That was our vision on how to go forward. So we found sponsors, we found BetKing first. Record sponsorship, $2.2 million in the first year, escalating by 5% through in different ways across the years. Never been done before for a titled sponsor. So we got that. The clubs supported us. I signed the contract in their presence.
That's for title rights?
I signed the contract in their presence. We went forward, negotiated Star Times contract. I signed their contract in their presence.
Star Times?
I signed their contract in their presence.
In the presence of the
In the presence
chairman?
of the 5 chairmen that were in the transition committee representing the clubs.
Who appointed the transitional committee?
When we decided we were going to go with FKFPL, if you remember, we agreed with the clubs that they will give us 5 people who will work with us on their behalf. Do you remember that? That was chaired by Eric Olo of Ulinzi. Do you remember that? Maybe that missed you.
That committee, I just want a clarification. That committee was selected by
the clubs. By the clubs.
By the KPL board. And when I say KPL board, KPL, my understanding is that the contract you ended was for KPL to manage the Premier League. But the KPL as an entity is owned by the clubs.
Okay, Radull, pause and breathe out. Because it is not. So let me tell you, no club has ever owned a single share in Kenya Premier League Limited. Do you want me to repeat that again? No football club has never owned a single share in the Kenya Premier League Limited. Kenya Premier League Limited directors were individuals. For example, Western Steamer FC has never owned a share or a directorship in the Kenya Premier League Limited. All right? So it was a hoax for failure to find another better word to use. Clubs never owned the Kenya Premier League Limited. Individuals owned that company. So pause there because that's a fact. I've
understood that.
That's a fact. So let's move forward. So we gave them a contract. They were given a 5-year contract in 2015. It was a landlord-tenant contract. That contract lapsed on 24th of September this year, meaning that all rights and all operations of that league reverted to the landlords, who are FKF. So that is the situation, Radull.
When you talk of rights, and in particular broadcasting rights, do clubs, my understanding is the clubs own their own individual broadcasting rights.
Pause there, because again, you're wrong. So pause there, so we can go through this. So our constitution says this, that the rights, all rights, media and commercial. There are 2 types of rights, media and commercial. Broadcast are part of the media rights. But all rights belong to FKF and its members. I can go into the membership of FKF, but I believe you should know what the membership of FKF is. So the rights do not belong to clubs.
The broadcasting rights don't belong to clubs.
They don't. They don't. So pause there. Then what does it say? It says that these rights that belong to FKF and its members, listen to me, Radull, because I'm live and you can play this again.
It will be on the page forever.
These rights that are owned by FKF and its memberships are regulated through regulations that are passed and agreed upon by the National Executive Committee. The National Executive will draw regulations how these rights are used. That's what our constitution says. We have regulations that were passed in 2018 that say this, that say all rights of football are collective. League rights, not club rights, league rights can only be exploited collectively. And why, Radull? So let's come to your broadcaster, because you've been made to believe something you shouldn't be believing. And I'm shocked because I'm shocked.
Let me ask a question so you can answer it in wholesome, because if these broadcasting rights are not owned by the clubs, why did you need the clubs to sign off?
Good question. So let me take step by step. So first I want to clear with you who the rights belong to. And I want to tell you the biggest reason why you must believe and you must know that they are owned by FKF. Let me give an example. Gor Mahia is playing Ulinzi at Nyayo Stadium. Gor Mahia have their own rights and Ulinzi have their own rights. When Ulinzi arrive at the stadium, at the Nyayo Stadium, they find that, for argument's sake, Radull Live are the ones who bought rights of Gor Mahia. What will Ulinzi say? Okay, no problem. Pay us $1 million, Bob, then we can play. Hold on there. Pause there. That's what I'm saying. Then Ulinzi in Nakuru will go to some other channel. They'll be on that channel. Then God will come to Nakuru. Then Ulinzi will tell. Then God will tell Ulinzi, okay, guys, us guys have 4 million funds, so you guys must give us 2 million bob. All right. For that reason,
I'm not saying don't. I'm not saying make it so disorganized, and
Yes.
I don't believe that is what Zoo or Mathare United are saying.
Yes.
They're saying that there are certain aspects. By the way, in totality, I don't believe Zoo and Mathare have an issue with having games broadcast. It is the finer details of that contract, the length of the contract, the number of games that are being played outside this country. I saw one document where in all monies earned, 60% goes to the administration of FKF, while 40% go to all the clubs.
I told you.
They're just little aspects. By all means, it
Radull,
needs to be organized.
Radull, I told you that your show might not be enough.
I
Okay,
have time.
so let me give you news, because I've made you believe things you shouldn't believe, and that's wrong, because they've lied to you. So let me tell you how they've lied to you. So one is, around the world, all league rights are collective. They're organized collectively by the federation, either delegated to an organization or by the federation itself. All right. So let me move away from that. Because that's the cornerstone of our discussion. So let me move away from that. When we were signing the Star Times contract in September, I have told you that the clubs were there and they read the contract. They had no problem with
Nick,
the
you told me that
contract.
there were 5
in September.
representatives of a committee, which I don't. You've not told me who appointed them.
Zu Kericho chairman was there. Let me say,
Ken was there?
Yes. Let me give you an example. He was part of the committee. He was there. He had a copy of a contract in advance. But I don't want to, let me not dive in that. Let me just
And
narrow
you're telling
into,
me Ken agreed to that and signed off?
I am telling you, I am telling you today that the Star Times contract was known and agreed upon in advance before we signed it. So let me move off there and come to what issues they might have. So I'm telling you, it is bad faith and it's not good. But I hope sooner than later we'll solve it. Why am I saying that? That was in September. We began the league on 27th of November. All right? None of them had an issue with this contract until then. From September, none of them had an issue with this contract until then. All right? So that's one. Two, when you say length of contract, nitty-gritties, and all these kind of things, you can actually highlight them. But my issue is this. They have nothing. They have zero. No sponsors, nothing they can bring to the other clubs, but they want to fail to sign the contract. So let me tell you why they need to sign the contract. It's because the Star Times say this. Last year, in 2018, they were negotiating a deal with KPL, and it fell through. You would be aware about it.
I am.
So the Chinese said, yes, FKF, you've come to us. You've signed this contract. That's okay. But we want the clubs, on top of you signing it, we want them to sign a letter of endorsement because we have suffered this embarrassment before. It is actually a condition precedent in the contract. So when you read the contract, you know there's a letter of endorsement required. I will tell you, these clubs came to FKF. They read the contract. They said it has no problem. And why? How can you show up and say, I'm not taking milk for breakfast, and you have no water even? And then you say, a guy brings you bread, and you say your bread is bad. You are hungry. You are going to die if you don't eat that bread. That's my problem. If they were saying, hold on, FKF, we have an alternative. This deal is not good. There's a deal over here. I would pause and listen because I want them to thrive. I can tell you, this issue is about them controlling the league. The minute we said that this is not going to go to a company, our disagreements started there. So let me go back to your company and tell you why we could not have a company. I just told you on your show that no club owned shares or owns shares in the KPL. Because in Kenya, a football club registered under the sports registrar cannot own shares in a limited company. by law. So when I asked, how are these clubs, these 18 clubs and FKF going to own shares in this company? There was no answer. You can't solve that. And so long as KCB FC and Western Steamer FC cannot own the shares in a company, I cannot endorse that, Radull. That is not right. That's a hoax. You cannot do that. They wanted individuals to own shares in that company. What it means is this. Tomorrow, who's going to protect Bandari FC rights? Nobody. So park that. Secondly, FIFA, when I went to Morocco, said to us, you guys have finished a contract, yes. Now, you are the only country in your part of the world that has delegated this to a company. You've been fighting with them since 2004. No more company, Kenya. I said, why? We are trying to think about our way. They told me, no. Ethiopia, there's no company. Burundi, no company.
So
Rwanda,
FIFA
no
told you
company.
not to renew with
FIFA
KPL?
told me, no, they didn't tell me. We had decided not to renew. They just said we were thinking about another company. The story of KPL we buried a long time ago. Let me tell you, Radull.
I know we had a discussion there's a study symposium in 2017.
So Tokapo.
And you had already decided.
Tokapo. The relationship was too bad. We wanted a new, when your relationship goes that bad, you want a new relationship. That's what we were looking for. And we were open to the idea of having another company. But there was no way to fairly have another company. When FIFA said, you can't do this, you're going to go back to court again, we're not going to be involved in this, we said, okay. So when I came and said to these guys, we want you to run this independently as the committee that we have selected you. Our problem started there. They had no problem before. This has nothing to do with the nitty-gritties you're talking about. Because why is it that 15 clubs, 16 clubs are signing this and 2 are not? There is no reason, I'm telling you.
But most of the clubs in the KPL are corporate clubs. They're not really businesses. They're not people in the business of football.
Sofapaka is a business.
Well, Sofapaka is there. Maybe, I think AFC Leopard signed.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Everybody else.
But most of them are corporate clubs who are not in the business of building football clubs.
No. Everybody else signed. You can say to them what you want to say to them. But they are football clubs of their own right. And they consider decisions. They considered and signed. Now, if you want us to consider another deal, we never had a problem. Okay? We would be saying, okay, here is Star Times, which is 110 million. Sawa sawa Radull. Sisi tuko na ingine hapa ya 220 million. Ile wewe umekataa Nick. Then I'd say, okay, pause. I tell Star Times guys, kuna problem. Let's look at this. They have nothing at all.
But just because there's no option, Nick, it doesn't mean you have to accept a deal that doesn't...
so let's go to why they are refusing that. What is it they're saying they're not accepting? It's a hoax and a lie. Let me tell you why. We have played now 27 plus 8 matches, about 30-something matches. Mm-hmm. Out of that, about 14 matches have been live. On Star Times, on your TV, and on your phone. And on your phone, you can pay 600 shillings for a season and watch all football on BTV. Never happened in Kenya before. All right? Now, for that, these clubs, collectively, and the decision made by them. That's when I see some of those things written and sent to you guys. Okay, you're going to put them to me, and then we're going to deal with them, Radull. We're giving the clubs 10 million shillings. How much were they getting? Even at the height of KPL, they got 6.5 million. Even at the height of Supersport. The Supersport contract, you have told me on this show, you never knew the details. You never knew how much was coming.
Some of the details.
How much was coming?
It was 500,000 per club per month.
What was the total amount Supersport was paying?
To the federation or to the clubs?
To KPL.
To KPL.
How much?
I don't know, because when they release figures, it included broadcasting costs and stuff like that.
So let me tell you.
Details
Let me tell you something. The transparency I'm giving you today, I am telling you this, and listen to me correctly. I'm telling you that we have 3 contracts, all worth $3.4 million. And I'm not hiding it. I'm telling you directly, which is what you've never been told before by them when they had the deals. Secondly, I'm telling you that every club will get 10 million shillings. And I'm telling you, Radull, that 10 million, it is them who decided in their own meeting of all clubs that 10 million shillings based on what we are getting is okay. And they came to
that
us
10
and
million
said,
is
per year.
is title rights, broadcast rights,
combined,
all the rights
radio
combined.
rights combined.
Is
After-
it cumulative over the years? Because I've seen that the deal with StarTimes, I think it's 3 years renewable to 7.
Yes,
Or it's a 7-year.
7-year deal.
It's a 7-year deal.
Yeah.
Isn't that shooting yourself in the foot?
Let me tell you
You
why.
don't sign
I
long
myself-
broadcasting deals.
I myself, Radull, didn't
Yeah.
want a 7-year deal. I wanted a 5-year deal. So I went to the table and said to StarTimes, I want 5 years. They said to us, we want 10 years. And they said, why? Because your league is broken league. Your league has no sponsors. Your league has no purview. Nobody watches it. It is not like the Ugandan league. I was so offended. I was so offended. So what happened? We said, let's come up with a compromise, because without StarTimes on the table, I am telling you today, Radull, you're in this industry, you tell me who is going to come and buy the rights as I stand today. We went to 2 other guys who are not interested. They don't even have the presence to do what StarTimes is doing.
But in 7 years, Nick, if everybody else does their job correctly, that league will be so valuable.
Exactly.
And yet you have tied yourselves to a contract that was signed.
So let's assume we rejected. We went to, I'd say, Azam. And they told us it took them 7 years. 7 years of investment in the Tanzanian league to get it to where it is today. Today, they are shooting and broadcasting all matches, 306 of them. They told me, Nick, you're not going to start where we are. You're going to build your league, get following behind it, then you're going to do the big deals. I wasn't happy that Tanzania, if you listen to how much they're being paid by TV, it's more than us. But when I look at it, Radull, they have invested in their league more than we have. We've been busy fighting and going to court, not building our league. For that reason, our league's value was low. Look at Ethiopia. I can tell you, without telling you figures, they're being paid more for broadcast than we are being paid. Why? Because they are perceived not to have issues in their league. All right? So let me tell you, for me, I wouldn't want Zoo and Mathare to be out of the league. Radull, I have run a club. Zoo has been 14 years. Mathare was founded in 1994. I'm not a fool to want those clubs out. I'm not a fool, Radull. I know what it takes to build a club. I've spent a half of my life building a club. I know.
Don't cry.
But Radull, when 16 people say, we're going to play, when I know there's $3.4 million on the table, you have no other deal, when I know that your motive is not what you're saying, your motive is to want to confuse the value of this because you're not in control, you leave me no choice. So what did we do? We wrote them letters every week for 5 weeks, begging them to sign this contract, telling them, guys, this is a problem. Please sign, let's play football. Please sign, let's play football. We have your money. They refused totally. We had no choice. We had no choice but to
they
remove
asked,
them from the league.
okay, I can't verify this. This is what they said on another show.
Yeah.
Ken and the CEO of Mathare, Jackton, is that they've asked for a meeting, a round-table meeting. They acknowledge they've got letters, and sometimes letters back and forth will not resolve the issues than sitting around a table and telling yourselves we're not leaving that door until we have come to an agreement. It is only fair to listen to other stakeholders.
That's what I'm telling you. It's good I've come here today, because I'm only saying this here. I've not said this elsewhere. Sometimes in leadership, you have to be cautious. I don't want those clubs dead. I don't want those clubs done. Never intended, never wanted. But I'm a leader and have to lead. These guys have been to FKF, sat on 50 round tables. My friend, they have no reason, they have no single proper reason why they are not signing like the other clubs. I've listened to you and other people. They have not told anyone else a single viable. Forget about the contracts. Toa contracts kwa meza, Radull. Sasa tukae hapa uniambiaje, wewe hauna pesa, ligi haina pesa, unakataa hii deal, tufanye nini, Radull? None of them will tell you. None of them. For the last, we were having matches on TV, Radull. And clubs were getting 0. We were having matches on TV for 1.5 years. Clubs were getting 0. And when I bring them a deposit of 2 meter and 10 million a year, incrementally, 2 of them say we're not going to sign. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You want to kill your club when there's 10 million on the table, and yet you're not telling us, here is $2 million, guys. It is wrong. It is morally wrong. It is wrong, Radull. I will not accept it. But we said, it's all right. They own the club. They felt the pain of building those clubs. We'll respect them. But we had to suspend them because they cannot continue being outside the collective deals FKF has signed through the constitution, and they know it. And they know it. So I'm saying this to you again. I'm looking forward. They've gone to the SDT. The SDT on ex parte have looked at it and said, put them back on the list. They're back on the list. They haven't played. Tomorrow, the court is on. Whatever the court said, we will respect it. But I'm telling you this, the risk we run, let me tell you now the risk we run on this matter, and that's why it's very passionate for me, is because we have spent 2.5 years, 3 years, without a penny on the table. Now we are organized, we have found radio, we have found broadcasting, we have found title, we're going to get more. And 2 of us decide they will scuttle that on their own whim, because they are not in control. It is wrong. If you want to be in control, I'll suggest something. Come and run and remove somebody from office. Then be in control. That's how to do it. We're not being unfair with them in any way. We're giving them the same as the other people. We are organizing them the same as the other people. I think it is wrong to do that. And whatever the court says, we shall do. I see Ari Squire, a sponsor stands up and says, okay, you guys have gone back to the fighting that you had again, and walks away. Walks away with $3 million. Where does that leave us? Because of 2 of us, and that is why the next said, 2 versus 16, sorry. Sorry, guys, we're going to suspend you. Because you cannot do this. You're going to hurt many more clubs and people than only your own clubs. And that's why they were suspended. I'm looking forward to a situation where the SDT makes a decision. If they make a decision, I hope that the sponsors don't walk away because of this. Because if they do, we will struggle for many years before we can be. Can you imagine a situation where 2 Fridays ago, every club got 2 million bob, Gor Mahia got 3 million bob because they borrowed. We disbursed 36 million shillings to all the clubs. Never happened before. Then we are busy squabbling about contracts. It's not fair. It's not right, Radull. It's wrong. We shouldn't do that.
Is it true, and I cannot verify this, that you have approached some sponsors to leave these clubs alone, to back out of sponsorship from some of these clubs?
No. I've said this, and I discussed it with Star Times and Bet King in Milele. And we said, guys, we have 2 clubs who have not signed, who have refused to sign to the last day. Because Star Times was very concerned. We said to them, they asked, will your league continue without them? We said, yes. They told us, show us that your league will continue without those 2 clubs. We are only having that sponsorship because we demonstrated that our league will continue even without them. All right? But they are also concerned and said, why should they lose their league status because we're bringing you money and doing a deal? And we're still hoping that they can wake up one day, but they're suspended. Now, Ohaga said, hold on the suspension. Let's come and have his case. We're going to go to court. And I'm telling you that we'll go to court. If we are told to bring them back, we will. I'm sorry.
You still have their money to give them?
We have the money. Which federation says we have money? Federation never say we have money. Federation are always broke. I'm surprised I come here and tell you that we have money. We have the money to give them. If they return back, we'll bring them back. But I can tell you, the sponsors will not give them a cent if they don't sign. They can go to whichever court, they'll never get a cent. And no club will play them if they're signed and they haven't signed. That fact won't change even if they go to Supreme Court. Because why should Bandari FC play Mathare when Mathare is not in the deal they are not in? Will Mathare pay them for playing them? No, they won't. Do they have a deal? No, they don't. And when they go to Bandari, Bandari has Star Times all over the pitch. How will they play? They're going to refuse to play? It's not attainable. It's not tenable.
So you're saying if is the ruling tomorrow or there's a mention?
No, tomorrow is just a mention.
Tomorrow is just a mention. If the ruling says you must reinstate these two teams, and yet these two teams refuse to sign the broadcast contract,
the sponsors will walk. I'm telling you here today, the sponsors will walk. Sponsors will not give anyone a cent that doesn't sign. It is their money. Why would you do it, Radull? It's your money.
That sounds like blackmail.
It's not blackmail. Let me ask you a question. Why should you go to court when you don't have an alternative? Forget about contracts. Contracts, we can change contracts. When I come to your show and you give me some terms, we can change. We can change terms. But let's look at practicality. Unaambiwa hivi Radull, unaambiwaje? Tuko na 10 million ya kukupatia. Tuko na hizi deals ziko hapa, tumezisign. There are no other deals ziko available. Do you have any? Unatingisha kitu unasema, sina. Okay, please sign here to enable us all enjoy this. You say no. Huyo mtu unamfanyia nini Radull?
I think what they're chasing is just rule of law, which I'm not a lawyer.
Rule of law.
So I don't.
Rule of law vis-a-vis your club collapsing.
There's a comment here from Keke Roy. He says, according to the KPL Articles of Association, clubs do own shares, contrary to what President is saying that they don't. That is according to KPL Articles of Association.
Tell him he's lying.
Keke is my good friend.
Yeah, tell him he's
I'm
lying.
not saying that.
Why would I come to your show to say things like that are lies?
Okay, that's
you will catch me tomorrow morning.
I can see you've put all your media people here to ask me questions. I can tell
they're
them.
asking you or me?
I can tell your people here who you put here, Nick.
I don't do that job.
You have a very efficient muscle. Let's talk about this issue of...
efficient what?
You have muscle, media muscle. I know it. I don't know if they're called bloggers
it's not
or
me
influencers.
It's not me who said that.
This issue of media and...
First of all, let me before you go to media, I just want to state again for clarity. We had to suspend Zoo, Kericho, and Mathare United. It was untenable to have them on the league when they are not on block with the others. We considered and followed every option we could have to solve this in any other way, but they rejected. All right? We have now found ourselves at the SDT, and we are happy to have that case there in good faith. We shall listen. We will wait for the decision that is made. I can tell you the risk we fall into. Today we have football on TV. We have clubs that would not have survived having money today because they have got money from our sponsorships. Never happened before. We risk ruining that because of two clubs. And that's why the NEC removed these two clubs. I want to be very clear. I don't wish those clubs to die. I never wish them to be out. I wish they could be reasonable. They have refused to be really reasonable, and we shall do it, and we did it in that way. So we wait for the court to decide. Meanwhile, on the pitch, the football continues. Many goals are going in the net, and Elvis Rupia is top of the of the scorers charts, and so the football continues.
Let me read a few comments here. Gad Isaac says, Nick, you're wrong. Home teams control broadcast rights. The away teams don't have a thing there. Which...
He's lying. I don't even need to say beyond that. He's lying. I've asked you a question. Let's say, for example, Zoo Kericho had their home rights. Whenever any club goes to their home, would they pay them? Don't even answer, Radull, because it's not practical. For when FC Leopards come, you pay them. Sharks come, you pay them. God come, you pay them. You cannot do it. It is a lie. They are lying. They do not have rights for home matches. Even during KPL, did they have rights for home matches? The answer is no.
If the two teams were live, both teams would get...
Who had the rights? Who had the rights? The KPL had the rights. Come on. Come on. So why are they telling us now that they have home rights, yet when KPL was on SuperSport, the rights were with KPL? They're lying to us. So the second point is this. Do you remember the Zuku and SuperSport debacle?
Yeah.
Zuku cameras were thrown out. Thrown out from the stadium by the same KPL who are telling us today, oh, we don't know. It's wrong. You shouldn't lie like that.
Omondi Joseph, Nick never listens. He's a bully.
That's okay. That's a correct.
Nick, you're a bully.
I might agree to that.
You're a control freak.
No, I'm not.
You sure?
You asked me to come here today. I could have told you to come to me.
Nick, I've been asking you for 6 months to come here.
But I could have told you to come.
Came.
But you wanted the interview. You could have come to where I am. But I chose to come to where you are. I just articulate my things in a strong way. Maybe it's something I should look at, but I like to make my points that are clear, that are honest, and that are open. And that's why I'm telling you, I would not wish.
It's actually a general opinion that Nick wants to control everything.
But every leader has their own way. Every leader, you lead your
people.
team in your own way.
You come with able people, you give them assignments, you
Do
do
you
this,
know?
you do this, you do this.
But
as CEO or president, you can't do everything.
But Radull, do you know I've not been to FKF since I was elected?
To the offices?
I've not been there. I've not been there.
It's COVID, digital world. You can work from anywhere.
I'm just saying to you, that's not true. It's because of the way I express myself. Maybe some people are not happy with that, but that's not true.
Let's talk about the media who were barred from covering some games. Are you trying to stifle the media?
That's a very good question. I've told you that we have had about 15 matches live. And I have told you that the Elvis Rupia is top of the charts, 6 goals. That has been reported by journalists. I'll tell you this. We had one game in particular that had a problem. 1 in 15 matches. 1. Gor Mahia versus Ulinzi. All the other matches, journalists have been there and have been accredited. During COVID, you don't give everybody a pass. Every media house has been getting accreditation. Then came up the Gor Mahia versus Ulinzi game. Some of your friends, some of your colleagues, some of your friends and colleagues, you know what they did? They wanted to stream the game live on YouTube. And so adverts went out and we got them. And you know, if they do that, we are in breach. So what did we do? For that particular game, we chucked journalists out. It was the only recourse we had. Now what did it become? It became that we bar people, we've chased people away. If I didn't want journalists, I wouldn't come here to your show, Radull. For what?
Have you clearly articulated to the journalists what is required? Because at the beginning of every season, that's what KPL used to do. At the beginning of every season, you either renew passes or not, bring your fresh credentials.
Yes.
Of course, COVID has created different challenges.
Situations, yes. We have articulated all this. We even sat with all editors proactively and explained the problem we have. But some of them, they go and they want to stream the game. If they do that, then we are sued. And this was only one game. There were games yesterday. There were games the day before yesterday. The journalists have been there. It is not true that we wanted to stifle anyone, because I have been talking to journalists from since day one. Why would I want to lock them out? Look, there's some of them that have other motives and have other things they were doing. And I will tell you on your show today that if we notice that you want to come and stream again, we will check you out. We won't leave you in. We will check you out, because that's what it is. If you did that during,
I agree.
If you did that during Supersport,
during
Supersport, I always saw you saying, courtesy of Supersport, what you're doing, because there was control. It's not true to do that.
2 comments here. Judy Masharia, did the man just say transparency? Such an unfamiliar vocab. Do you know Judy? Very active in sport.
Okay.
Surjit Alex says, ask President why double standards in their judgment in this case of TV rights. Zoo and Madari were harshly judged more than Gor Mahia and Ulinzi. Did Ulinzi sign?
That's not true.
Gor Mahia, we know what happened in the case of Gor Mahia, and now you're disciplining Rachir.
I can tell you, he's going to be disciplined if the committee finds him to be culpable. But I'll tell you this, Gor Mahia is even in court, taken to StarTimes to court. When we have a letter from Gor Mahia telling us all correspondence should come from the SG in August. Then when the SG gives us an endorsement, they turn around and take StarTimes to court. Only in football these things happen, Radull. But it's okay. It's all fine. We will deal with it. It will end. Football will continue being live on TV. You will pay 600 shillings, 20 shillings a day to watch football. All this drama we're talking about, I'm happy because it's happening when the football is being played on the pitch. That's what makes me happy.
Another comment here from Judy. I do want to know the accountability strategies for these monies that go to the grassroots football. Any monitoring and evaluation? Without it, hapa ni story too.
So, David Majak played in Chapadimba first edition. He has now played for Tusker FC for 2 seasons. Such a prolific player. And many other players. Safaricom have their ways in which they ensure that you don't misuse their money. They've done it now for the 3rd edition, they've done it before. So I can tell you, if we don't tick the boxes, Safaricom will walk. So does that apply as well to all the other sponsors we have? I can tell you we have no single complaint from a single sponsor that we've had, Radull, since I've been here. And that is 5 years now down the line. So the issue of how money is spent is not an issue. The question is, have you seen the boys and girls we have trained? Have you seen the boys and girls that have come out of these initiatives that we have put in place in the grassroots? You should go and check your county and see how it is. Have you participated in them? Has your team, has your youth team participated in them? Because if they do, then we have more kids coming out. And if that is achieved, then in the coming years, Kenya will be a powerhouse to talk about. I think for me, we have not had a problem with sponsorship and response to them and accountability with them at all in the 5 years, at all. Not even that. FIFA has something called central audit since Gianni came to office. We have passed 4 central audits, proper, passed with a green tick, because you won't receive the next. Our neighbors here don't receive, some of them, FIFA funds because they couldn't pass the central audits. Almost half countries in Africa don't receive because they don't pass. So what I'm trying to say to you is that I think when it comes to money and how the money is spent, we have done very well. And that is why sponsors are coming on board. That's why sponsors want to be there.
I've seen the document talking about the money it's coming on board, that FKF gets 60% and clubs get 40%.
That's a lie. That's a very fat lie.
That document is not true.
It's a very fat lie from Bob Monroe. And he's been lying to Kenyans like that. He thought he'll run away with it for many years. Now the KPL is not in his control. I'll tell you, the directors of that company, the cornerstone was Bob Monroe. They formed a company where there were individually directors. Individually directors. Even his club doesn't own shares in that company. It's a fact. I want to tell you facts, not stories, facts.
I've been sent a document here by Keke Roy, because you called him a liar. He's WhatsApped me a document, says, here's the evidence that clubs own shares in KPL. And he has sent me a document, I know you can't really see it, where we the persons whose names, addresses and descriptions are subjected as, well, it's a bit faint.
So let me tell you.
And they've all signed against it, the chairman of the clubs.
Let me tell you something, Radull. When you go to the Register of Companies, there is a document called a CR12. A CR12 is a document from the Register of Company that tells you who are the people that own shares in a limited company. Tell Kekeroy to send you that document with clubs on it. It doesn't exist. In the company called Kenyan Premier League Limited, it doesn't exist. And why? Because I have just told you a simple fact. Gor Mahia FC cannot own shares in Radull Live Limited. Get that clear. And go do your research. If you found I lied, come back to me. I'll be back to your show, Radull. Kekeroy doesn't know. He's being lied to. It is not true. All right? It's one of the reasons why we said we must have all 18 clubs plus FKF in this company. If that's not viable, I'm sorry. And that's what we found out. All right? So that's clear. It's not ambiguous. I'm telling you about facts. So anyway, I don't want to argue with.
Let's just shift focus a little bit and talk about branding and marketing, because for me that is a lot of what is lacking in our football. And I think FKF should take the lead. Before, I thought KPL should at least take the lead. I was shocked that they didn't have a marketing department at all. And then clubs should also be guided on how to brand and market, because for me, that affects a lot of how the rest of the country perceives the league. When we sat with you when we were starting this Jazza study, you gave us permission to talk to clubs, but when you do simple things like hype and give out information about games, people will come. But it's something that needs to be a concerted effort driven from a higher authority so that it's sustainable. And eventually clubs also need to take their own responsibility, players need to take their own responsibility on branding and marketing. And I don't know whether FKF has such a program to help right down to individual players. Because when you look around the world, individual players have such lucrative endorsements that nobody even knows our players.
Yeah.
And I don't know what efforts are being made.
So you will notice huge changes that has happened in the FKF Premier League. Me and you have talked here for 30 minutes about people who don't want to join the bandwagon, so we can move forward. Now we can at least talk about what it is that's being done. One is that there's a lot of promotion and marketing around the FKF Premier League now. That's clean, that's well documented, that has a vision. If you go to the Betking Premier League, for example, on digital side, on all social media now, you can follow a game that's in Wundanyi from where you're seated. You will know the key moments, you will know the scorers, you will know everything about that. You will get live photos. There is somebody in every game bringing the moments to you from where you are on your phone. Not start times. Now on the digital front, if you go to Betking Premier League and they're all verified, you will find that this is what's happening as I speak to you today. So every day, wherever you are, you can follow the matches, you can find your team of the week, you can debate about your team and other teams as you go on all social media, be it Instagram, be it Twitter, be it TikTok, be it Facebook, which has now become main focus for us. So that, there is a huge team behind it that is deployed everywhere to make sure that this league goes that way. That's one. Two, we have begun now, we're going to have about 4 shows. I'm hoping one of the days you can probably take part in it. And now we have made shows that are going to air on free-to-air and also on digital, so that anyone on their phone can see a roundup of all matches, can watch highlights, can also watch what, for argument's sake, a player from whichever team was doing last week if they're being featured and things like that. This is already being done at FKFPL as I speak to you today. We are doing things that have never been done at all, if you go and check on the digital footprint in itself as I speak to you today. But as we move forward, what are we doing? We want to do that for the league, but now also we want to do that also for the clubs. So that as the Betking Premier League does that for every club, then Tusker FC have also their own digital footprint, and they can reach out as many people as possible. Those who are interested in Tusker FC, and also their partnerships and what they're doing within their partnerships in different clubs. And soon, I think it's in March or in February, we're having training for their clubs in how they should view their clubs, in how they should try and expand their digital and their branding level, so that they can attract more viewership. And I want to tell you this, no doubt, 3 years from today, our value will at least triple 3 years from today in terms of where the league is standing. I only wish we could walk away from some of these shenanigans, but it is what it is. We have to live with it. But I can tell you today, without any major havoc, without any sponsor walking away, we have sponsors lining up, waiting to ask, where can we pitch in? No, we don't want this because so-and-so is going to take it. Over time, this is going to change. The more money we have in the club, Radull, as you know it now because you've tried to do it before, the more money, then that happens. And when you look around now, we have betting companies that have gone to clubs and sponsoring clubs more than before what was happening. As we hype our league and COVID-19 goes away, I can tell you that in 2 years, you'll see something. You've heard that we're bringing a trophy. We want to hype and tell people what it's about, the gold and the Kenyan heritage on it, and the Maasai around our heritage. You're going to see a fantastic trophy. We want to build something around these things that have not been done before. And those are the ideas that crystallize around this thing. We're going to have a magazine at the end of the season. You can get a magazine which has all photos we took of every team, all interesting photos we took for every team that you can buy and have a souvenir at home. So many little ideas and big ideas that are coming together in this FKF Premier League. I wish we will.
Can we just, I just want to talk a bit about Harambee Stars and the scouting of Harambee Stars, because I've seen a few comments coming up that we tend to call the same old players from our little black book, and we don't really do proper scouting around the country to find the best players. Do you have some people within your federation?
So let me talk to you about this, because it's been a point that maybe we haven't addressed it properly before. So first, in football, there is level, the level of a competition. And so you realize that there are players that are Kenyan players that were probably born in Kenya or not born in Kenya, but that play outside the country, who we could see in other leagues playing, but who have never played for Kenya. We have, over time, gone for these players in the US, in Scandinavia, in wherever. Many of them have refused to play for Kenya. Some that we wanted. Some of them wanted to play for Kenya, but their level was not good enough. So that is one. So that is outside Kenya. There are players who could still get in future that have been there. We continue to chase, and the coaches do that all the time. So let's come to Kenya now. In Kenya, we have our under-20, we have our under-17, we have our under-23.
Under-17 are being beaten.
Right? Yeah.
But at least they're at the Sakafa tournament.
No, but not even that, not even that.
Yeah.
You look at the opponents, and you ask yourself questions, and you say, we are doing the right thing.
What are you implying? They're overage.
I know what I'm saying. No, I didn't say that. I'm just telling you. So you look around and you say you're doing the right thing and you're on the right track. And I'm happy. We have the kids. We have got it right now. There is no complaints about this. You did. You guys fix this. No. We have done the job. We've gone across the country. We selected players everywhere. We have kids from Kitale. We have kids from Garissa. In that team, we have kids from all over the country, and that job has been done. You know, people said before that we only Nairobi collect a few kids here and go. No. We have actually done the job of scouting and put the kids together. And that's the first step we make.
Then we need to bring them into the national team.
So on Harambee Stars. So I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I've been in football long enough to know that if a player is in Division 2, in the 4th tier of Kenyan football, there's a 95% chance they cannot play for the national team. And that just applies across the world. It's not across the world. It's not just Kenya.
For me, Kenya, it's a little bit unique because we do have players who are in those lower divisions who could walk into Gor Mahia right now. Probably haven't had an opportunity or something like that. We've seen players come from nowhere, in quotes. Whereas national team, we just seem to be circulating the same players who are not really getting us results. I think it's time to phase some out.
And
they're my friends. They won't like me saying that.
And I am of the opinion that, as we develop more new talent, for sure we need to bring in fresher, better, new talent in the national team. And I am of that opinion, as you are. But I can tell you, I have now had, as you said, several coaches. And for example, Sebastian went around the country and looked, and even went to Division 1. He picked Musa Masika when the team was down from Wazito. You know what I mean?
Which is the point I'm trying to make.
But I can tell you this. Every coach tells you, my friend,
yesterday,
calm your horses down, because this is not child play.
Yeah.
But this is not child play anymore. And you know, if the wheels come off, you know what happens.
Yesterday,
I'm not saying that we can't.
I was at the Chris Darling Super Cup watching, I think it was Gogo Boys versus Ping FC from Dagoretti. And I'm telling you, those boys can step into almost, not all of them, one or two, can step into almost any Premier League club. But I think they just never get opportunities.
So how we want to do this is to allow our clubs to pick good players, to give them platforms to pick good players. Because when they come to the Premier League, then the stage is set for bigger things. I'm just trying to say that around the world, 90% of players normally are those that compete at the highest level possible for a country around the world. I am saying that, yes, it is perhaps important for us to say to our coaches, go down there and look. And we have been doing so. And I've given an example of one of them. He picked one player from the NSL. He said, I don't need to go and see Division 1. He said, if there's a good player there, a coach in NSL will pick him up.
Can you send him next week, a week today? There's a tournament in Samitsi.
Yes, we have.
Bramwell Karamoja. Can you send one of your guys? Even though I don't have rights, I'm inviting you there.
No, I'm happy.
To go and scout for good talent.
And I can tell you this, Radull. We have a very vibrant technical department that in this December alone are attending about nine of those tournaments. invited by different people, MPs and individuals, because we want to see these kids. And I can tell you, it's not straightforward that you're going to pick one there, put them in the national team. I'm just saying that we do the job, we identify the kids, we work on them over time, and they'll come through.
Because we need to wrap up, but
Yeah.
what can we tell? You know, you got your people to flood my comments, so I know them, I can see them, so I'm not even seeing the proper comments.
You even know my people.
I know them, Nick. I'll show you
Do I know your people?
after this.
Do I know your people?
I don't hide things. I don't hide
So
things.
yes, are you trying to say
What
that
can
I hide
tell-
things?
On behalf of Harambee Starlets,
Yes.
those who are no longer in the team,
Yeah.
can you pursue that issue, please?
Tell them to go to the CEO of FKF tomorrow morning.
And ask him. The CEO currently is... that's
No,
bad.
No, just
It's,
tell them. They know.
Muthomi.
You don't need to know.
It's Muthomi.
No, it's not Muthomi.
I know.
It's not with them. You don't need to know. They know. You tell them to go to see you tomorrow morning.
Okay, they may not get the message tonight,
No,
but I
tell
will tell
them
them
to
within
go
the
see you
next
tomorrow
to
morning.
go and see the
yes,
CEO
Yes.
and
Tomorrow.
register to get their money. Any
Let them go
Harambee
sit
Starlet
with him.
owed money.
No. You had kids that you're saying have been coming to you and have never been paid.
They're not kids. They're the old girls who you phased out without clearing their allowances.
Okay. Ask them to go and see the CEO
To go and see the CEO tomorrow
Tomorrow morning.
and ask him for their money.
Yes.
All right, Gabriel Tito, when will FKF sensitize players on matters of player passport, solidarity fee, because some grassroots teams rarely benefit from their efforts?
No, we have an ongoing initiative for that, and it's good you brought that up, and I want to thank brought that up because we have a major problem, Radull, that we need to talk about. When our players leave football, there's a major problem. A very big percentage are languishing badly after their careers. It's something close to me because I told you I've run a club for many years. And many of them go back to a very pathetic way of life. As we think about educating the ones that are playing today, I'm also passing out a word about those that stop playing for one reason or another, not just players, but coaches, referees. Many of them are languishing badly. And we are working on an initiative at FKF to sensitize the existing players today that at 38 you will not play. You need a life after that.
What's your plan?
Many of them, Radull, cannot be coaches and won't be referees and won't serve the game. They need other skill sets like yours to make a living after 38. It's a major issue not only in Kenya but around the world, but particularly around the Kenya because I'm present in Kenya. So we're thinking about an initiative where we can educate them, where we can allow them to think about business, where we can allow them to think about acquiring other skill sets as they age and go beyond the age of 30. Because we have a major problem. You should see on my phone how many players, coaches, and all this.
I know them. We're always fundraising. We need to stop the culture of fundraising. But then it also means while they're active, they need to be earning enough. Because even if they're to take themselves to school or to invest in a business or a plot or whatever it is, they have to have been earning money during their formative years.
So let's go there to earning enough money. Radull. If you play for, argument's sake, for Nzoia FC, Nzoia FC have a budget of 15 million shillings a year. It's very simple. You're either going to earn within the club structure or you're going to find another club. The same thing at your job place. If your job is only paying 50,000, you need to make 250,000. You have to be either innovative in what you do, and I see you doing these kind of things, or you have to think about another job or a higher job that makes you more. These conversations are conversations we need to have. And we are starting now in my second term to think about these players who played so well for us for the national team, who played at the Premier League level, but who today are in their 40s and really have a challenge because they spend a lot of time playing football, but football is not paying them today. And therefore they're languishing. It's a serious problem, Radull, I tell you. It's one that touches my heart and one that I really think about.
Have you put pressure on our dear friends at Kefwa because they refused to come here and sit with me because they couldn't answer questions on...
I'd say that representation among players is a challenge, all right? I'd say they have an organization. They could do more as FKF could do more as well. But I'd say that it's a challenge because when the clubs are having trouble earning money, it's very hard for us to implement a minimum wage. Because what are you telling a club Do you want to shut down the club? If you shut down the club, you shut down the players. The club is telling you, my friend, I run this club with my own money. I only have 6 million.
Can't afford
I
it.
only have 6 million a year. If a player doesn't want, ship out. So that's why we're saying collective rights are important, because now you have 10 million. In my term, in the next X number of, I want to be 25 million. That way I can ask the club to pay 50,000 shillings to a player, because I know they can afford. Today, if I'm going to ask Posta Rangers to pay that money, then there'll be a problem, because what am I saying to the club? I can't shut down a club because of a player, because in that club there are 30 players. We are in a situation where we have to overall improve together for us to implement some of these things you're saying.
There's someone here who said you're the one interviewing me, not the other way around. I think because you're talking a lot, but yeah, I came to give you a platform to talk, Nick. What I want to see for Kenyan football is a space where footballers can earn. They don't need side hustles, where there's no bickering, because I think the bickering, whether you're right or whoever is right, does not augur well when you're looking for sponsorship. So somebody has to be the bigger man and say, the players are the ones who are suffering, the players need to come first. I need to think of the players, not my pride or I'm right, or sometimes being right is not, doesn't solve the problem.
Doesn't help you.
Yeah. So I don't know if you at any point are willing to be the bigger man and say, you know what, my focus is those players. Because I know I watched one of your videos where you said you were going to open the transfer market so that players from Zoo and Madari can find other clubs. I don't think that is the solution.
What is the solution?
I don't know what the solution is. I'm not sitting in your seat. That is why I don't listen to people who tell me that. Okay. I don't want to be in your seat.
Okay.
But I know for a fact, and this is not favoritism, it's just that I've worked a lot with Zoo FC, especially under the Jaza Study banner. If you see how Ken Ochieng runs his club, he's fortunate enough, being a lawyer, accomplished, to have a big house in Kericho. He has literally he's built outside his house and players live there.
Yeah.
They live like a community, as in, if I don't have money to pay you, at the very least you're not paying rent. I'm looking after you.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy to just tell these players, you know what, the transfer window is open, move to another club. And the same case with Madari.
Yeah.
We hosted Cheche on one of my other shows the other day. He signed for Madari at the beginning of the season. He said, I just want to play.
Yeah.
Can't these people above me, one of them, be the bigger man, swallow their pride and say, let the footballers come first?
Radull, I've come to your show. I've shared with you the facts of what is on the table. I will let you and the viewers look at it and make up their minds whether we have been reasonable. I can tell you this. My heart goes out to every player. I have lived a life where maybe half or more of my fortune has gone to players, not wanting to get anything back. That's a life I've lived. I don't want to see any Zoo FC player or Madare player have this problem. But at the same time, there is Kenya, a country of 47 million people. There is another 16 clubs that also exist and who made us bring this deal on the table. I've just asked, sign a piece of paper, I give you money, we move on. That's all I've asked. I've not asked for anything else. I've said, sign this bit of paper, we send you money today, we put you on TV. If you have any issues, come, let's look to solve as we go. I don't think that's being unreasonable. I am still hoping they will have a reprieve on their side, but I can tell you that we had to make that decision because at some point a decision has to be made. And I'm not jumping up. I'm not coming to your show jumping about it. I know the weight of that more than anyone.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've had my issues with you, but I always say, guys, we had no sponsorship, we have sponsorship. I know the people who wanted me to discuss how some of these contracts were signed when you were not, when there was a lull. I don't know whether you were...
How was that a lull?
Elections should have been held months ago. The elections hadn't been held. You used it as a campaign tool.
The same people who delayed our election for a year. The same people we beat resoundingly at the election. The same people who never...
But Nick, you went and signed big contracts. That's campaigning.
So I should have rejected them?
No.
Okay.
There should have been elections at the right time. Okay, I don't want to start another...
No, I'm just saying everyone will argue their side. When I come to you,
Nick, at some point, learn when there's a compliment being paid. There's money in the game.
There is.
ever since SuperSport left and then SportPesa followed, I know there's been no money in the game.
Yeah.
There's money in the game.
Yeah.
That for me is a positive.
Yeah.
But I just wish there was more compromise and dialogue between you and other stakeholders.
I wish to. I wish to myself.
Why don't you go and call Bob,
But
call Ken,
these
tell
people,
them?
we have spoken to them. We have spoken to them, Radull. They don't want. They just don't want. They have no reason they don't want. I've listened to all your reasons they don't want.
My stomach is rumbling now. I need to go and make my supper and eat.
Yes.
But Nick, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for answering questions as honestly as you can. I think you've educated some of us who are watching.
Yeah.
Of course, there are people who... it's hard to say who's right and wrong when the other
Yeah.
side is not sitting here also
Yeah.
making their case.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer. I had Ken Ochieng on another show last week. He's a lawyer. He can articulate those things
Yeah.
that I can't.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have all of you sitting here and then I just get a few bouncers, we call it a day.
We are not fighting physically. I am
No,
not,
we are not.
myself interested in that. I can tell you, as I wrap up, I can tell you that I have been here now for 5 years. And I am not, sorry.
What's your AFCON and World Cup target?
We want to see 2022 doesn't look very realistic. Granted, we have World Cup qualifiers in June. We want to go past the group, the first group, and then we work on Qatar from there. We want to be in 23 for sure, for stars. And we will work, and we put in the work, and we take in the ideas and do the job. But I want to tell you that I am here now, I am not competing. We have shown that we can win elections. We have won. I think we're the first to win elections, be re-elected in football, probably because no one else did before. Gashanja and group, they were not doing those kind of things. In the new era, we're the first to be re-elected again. And it's not something we want to celebrate about. We want to say, guys, we have done some work. It is not the entire work. Some of us might not like it, but we have moved the country to some good place. You're saying, even when we don't agree, I have not agreed with you in some things, but we've sat here today and we have dialogued about them. I live here knowing that you don't agree with me in a certain thing I said, but also knowing that you listen to me and I listen to you. And when I went and checked and said, maybe Radull was right here, then I will do what is right. I would say that we take stock for what we are doing and we continue to lead and take Kenya in football in the right place, in the right direction. I will be here for a limited period of time and I will leave. And in future we'll look back.
Thanks. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for coming. Thank you guys for watching Radull Live, the special edition on a Monday night. Usually I banter with fans on Monday night on Zoom, so today they missed me. But just as well, Arsenal lost. I didn't want to talk to them.
Invite me as a fan soon.
As a fan?
Yeah.
Sawa.
But of FKFPL, not of Arsenal.
No, but we also discuss the KPL. We discuss Gor. There's the guy who hosts with me is a Man U and Thika United fan. So we touch Kenyan football as well. Yeah. I think it's important to focus on our sport. But thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for honoring this invite. And we'll see you on Saturday. Saturday, I have a Christmas show with the Asego brothers, Lavin and Larry Asego. They've had great careers in Kenyan rugby, and we're going to talk about rugby and what else they're doing for the sport in Kenya. But thanks for watching, and shout out to my partners, Absa. And yeah, see you on Saturday. Have a Merry Christmas, guys.